All right, hey everyone, this is Alex Zajac. I'm doing a What's Cooking with Harrity video for today. I'm going to show you how to make some real easy grilled zucchini. All right, it's actually my wife's aunt's recipe that we've kind of tweaked and adopted as we want over the years. So I'm first just going to get the grill fired up and let that heat up while we season our zucchini. So I've taken the liberty of pre-cutting it a little. You can see what I've done is I've cut one basically stalk of zucchini into 4 slices. These 2 are the inner pieces, and then the outer pieces you're going to peel off just a little bit of the skin. You're going to want the skin on the outside, give it a little flavor, but you don't want too much because you want to be able to grill and the heat to go through there. So what are we going to add to it? Well, the number one is olive oil. This is actually from Delalo. That's a lovely place in Pittsburgh. Definitely recommend it for pasta noodles and olive oil. You're going to want to give it a pretty heavy thing of olive oil. A lot of the flavor that comes with the zucchini comes from the olive oil. So don't be afraid to give it a nice heavy coat right on top. Again, that's going to be your base flavor in the zucchini. Okay. And then the other most important ingredient, as usual, is salt. So my wife likes it pretty salty, my wife Michelle. So we're gonna give her a lot of salt. So you can see I'm gonna season it about 1 stalk at a time, just kind of going across here. This isn't a hard recipe in terms of amount you're gonna want to measure, but depends how much salt you want. She wants a lot, so we do it that way. We also want some pepper. Pepper's a tricky one for her. She doesn't like a lot of it. So what I like to do is kind of bring the pepper to the front of the container, just like that, and just do a very light, almost a dusting is what you're doing here. Because again, my wife does not like pepper. She thinks it's a little spicy for her. So I'm just barely dusting the zucchini with the pepper. Take a look at that. Just barely dusted, not too much. But what she does like is the thyme. Thyme is one of the other big flavors that goes into this. So for her, I'm just going to load it up. You know, the bulk of the spice you should see should be the thyme. Right? You can see how much I'm dumping out. Mostly thyme. There, that. The final thing to put it off is just a little bit of garlic powder. Now, not a ton here, you know. This is, it can get real spicy if you do too much. So I usually just shake a little bit out evenly across 1 stalk at a time. You can't really see it. It's going to be, you know, a little bit more than the pepper, but a lot less than the salt and the thyme here in terms of how much garlic powder you want. So that's it. You should be all set to go then, like I said. There's 2 ways then we put this on the grill. If you've got a grill with a top rack, that you can put it right on. You know, I don't cook any meats up there, so I can put it right on the top rack. Another way to do is wrap it in foil if you want to put it on the bottom rack. But again, I like it with the top rack, especially if you cook some meats underneath, you can get a little meat flavor in your zucchini if that's something you like. If something you don't like, then just cook them separate. That's what we're going to do here today. Now, my wife likes the zucchini a little softer, so I'm going to put hers more toward the middle of the grill where the heat is, and I'm going to cook them probably closer to 7 minutes for her. You're not going to want to flip it over. We put all our spices on one side. You flip it over, that's gone. But you're going to want to give it long enough that the zucchini kind of softens up and warms up, and that the flavors kind of even out. Now, once you've got this down, you can play with it. So, for my zucchini, which I've cut the same way here, I will show you. Very similar way here. I'm going to do the same amount of olive oil. Again, it's your base flavor, so you definitely want to really coat the zucchini in that olive oil. It's going to give it that really nice, rich flavor. But then I'm going to cut back on the salt, trying to be a little healthier. So I'm going to, as I shake the salt, kind of shake 2 stalks at once. Go that way, and then that way, and you can see I did it a lot quicker, and that's going to result in a lot less salt, a little less sodium for you on that. I also like thyme. I don't like it as much as my wife does, so I'm just going to shake just a little bit of thyme on each stalk. And if you take a look, you can see it's a lot lighter than what I did on my wife's zucchini, because I prefer the pepper. So for the black pepper, I'm going to dial that up a notch so that my zucchini has a bit more of a zing. So I'm giving multiple squeezes here on every stalk. So the bulk of what I'm seeing on my zucchini now is that black pepper right on top to give it a kick. And then the garlic powder, it's a bit like the olive oil. I do it about the same on most of them. Again, you could kick this up, but then you're going to really start to lose a lot of the flavors in the olive oil and some of the flavors in the pepper and thyme. Of course, if you don't like garlic, just eliminate it then, right? That's an easy one to do, but I usually keep that about the same. All right, so my wife has been cooking for maybe about 2 minutes here. So now I'm going to add mine to the grill. I like my zucchini crunchier, so I'm going to put it near the edges of the grill. It's not as hot here on the edges. I'm also going to cook mine for only about 5 minutes. That's going to give you a lot more crunch on the zucchini if you only do it for 5 as compared with 7. And of course, the most important thing is feel the zucchini as it's cooking. If you cut the zucchini real thin, it's going to cook pretty quick. It's going to be grilled, and you're going to want to pull it a little earlier. Otherwise, it's going to be a little squishy if you leave it on for too long. Of course, even if you've got a really thick slice, even if you like it crunchy, you're going to want to let it go a little bit longer. It's going to be kind of cold and crunchy in the middle. You kind of want a nice, even cook, and your even cook, again, can be a little bit lighter like I do, about 5 minutes, or it could be 7 or 8 minutes like my wife does. So let's pause. Let's give it those 5 minutes here for both of them to finish up, and then we'll pull it off and I'll show you what we got. All right, folks, it's been about 5 minutes here. So we're going to pull these off. So if you take a look, you can see. So my wife's, you can see, it's been in the middle and it's been there 7 minutes. So it's, it's got a lot more give when I pull it off. Hopefully you can see it in the video, but it flops around a lot more. Now, a good tip is to, when you pull these off, use the same plate that you did the seasoning on. It's going to have some of the olive oil left, and that's going to give you some more flavor after you pull it off if you put it back on the olive oil. Meanwhile, so mine are still soft like this, but they're going to have a little bit more crunch on the inside still. Just because I cooked them for a shorter amount of time, and I cooked them on the part of the grill that has less heat. So it really just comes down to what you want, what kind of texture you want with your zucchini. And then you pull it off, and you've got a nice prelude to whatever you're cooking on the grill that night. Tonight is steaks, but it can be anything else: salmon, ribs, chicken, whatever you prefer to cook on the grill, even something vegetarian if you want. So that's the zucchini recipe. Again, my wife Michelle, her aunt, came up with it, and we really love it. It's one of our favorite things during the summer and gets us to eat some of our vegetables.